So this week you will be working with advanced functions, and there are lots of ways you can get an answer. However, the goal of this week's is to actually use those advanced functions, and that is something I will absolutely be looking for. So with this assignment, this is your lesson 10 project. The directions really walk you through step by step exactly what you need to do. But what I would like to do is to spend a few moments explaining how to know which function to use in case you don't have directions right beside you, because more often than not, you won't have directions right beside you. It's going to be your workbook, your worksheet, and you are going to have to figure out what to use. So this is the worksheet from the Lesson 10 project, and all the data has been entered. This is my work in column C here at the bottom, but you will see a series of basically word problems, and what the project is asking you to do is to solve for what they're asking, and with that to use the advanced functions. So this very first one is asking to find the total or the sum of all sales over 150,000. Your answer should be here, but I'm just going to come over here. So you could do this the long way. So you could start with an equal, and then you could click this cell and add, and this one and add, and this one and add. And then press enter. And you will see that this is the answer that you got, and that's all the work you had to do. However, Excel is built with functions. So functions are just pre-built formulas. So what you want is the sum if the sales are over 150,000. So what you would use instead would be a sum if function. So I would start with equal, and then when you start to type, you get a list of all things that have sum anywhere in them. So I'm going to double click sum if. So there are two ways you can enter functions. This is the first way, so you can enter it directly in the cell. So when I started the function, you will see I have kind of like this little cheat sheet. So the first thing it wants is the range. So this will be the conditional range. So what range is it looking to use the if portion? So I am looking for the sum of sales over 150. So the range would be this range, and then you're going to put a comma in, and then next is criteria. So based upon this word problem, you are looking for sales that are greater than 150,000. So the criteria would be equal, and then you're going to go back to old school math, put in the greater symbol, and then you want it to be greater than 150,000, and then close the parenthesis. I'm sorry, close a quotation mark and then close a parenthesis. One thing to note, when you are entering dollar amounts such as, or large numbers such as I did with 150,000, you need to leave the comma out, because in functions, you will see if we go up here in my formula bar, commas are used between the different parts of the function. So this is the range of cells for the criteria, and this is the actual criteria. Therefore, if I put a comma between the zeros for 150,000, it would cause confusion. So you just type in the number. I'm going to close the parenthesis, which you don't actually have to do, and press enter. So you will see here that I got the same number. I got whether I went through and did all of the addition, or I went through and used a sum if. The benefit is, if a sale price mysteriously dropped to 140,000, it will take it out of the run for this equation, and it did not take it out of this one. It just changed because you are adding whatever is in that cell. When the number dropped below the requirement, it didn't know not to include it. Where this one, which was my original, in this one using Sumif, knows that now this doesn't meet the requirements of being above 150,000, so it is no longer calculating it in that formula. So I'm just going to undo that change. So you will also notice this number doesn't look like this number. It just needs to be converted to dollars. And remember, when you see the hashtags, it just means that column isn't wide enough. So I just made the column wider so everything would fit. And you also can decrease your decimals to get rid of those extra zeros. The other way you can enter functions, and it's really a preference, so I can either click the FX on my formula bar, or I can go to Formulas and click FX. And when I come to this box, I would type Sumif and go, and it will pop up. So what this is going to do is open the function dialog box. The end result will be absolutely the same, and as I am grading your assignments, I will not know if you used the function arguments box or if you type directly in your cell. The benefit of the function argument box is when you are first getting used to a function, it will help you sort of learn where parts go. So for Sumif, first thing it wants is the range. So here, with my cursor flashing in that box, I will select the range. And then it wants the criteria. So this is where I would enter the greater than 150,000. And once I click, I don't need anything here. The sum range would be if I needed it to total a different range. So since it's looking for the criteria in the same column that it will be adding, I don't need anything in sum range. But what you will see here is it's showing you what will be the answer. So if you know what the answer is supposed to be, you can look here and see if you are correct and okay. So as you look down through the list, you will basically be doing the same thing. These are all using different, they're called conditional formulas or conditional functions. So here you want the sum of properties that's sold for a percentage difference of less than 2%. So again, you will be using a Sumif. So you want the sum of properties that's sold for less than 2%, and that will come from this information. For this one, you're looking for the sum of properties listed for 50 days or less and valued at more than 150,000. So I'm going to open up the function dialog box for this one. So this is a Sumifs because there are two criteria on here. So you have the sum of the properties listed for greater than 50 days and valued at more than 150,000. So you will see that my sum range is first. So what do I want it to add? In this case, I want it to add the sum of properties. And now it wants criteria range 1. So in this case, my first criteria would be listed for 50 days or less. So criteria range 2, or I'm sorry, criteria range 1 will be the cells in F5 to F16 where the days are being counted. And then my criteria will be, because it says for 50 days or less, I'm going to do less than or equal to 50. And then because this is an ifs, you will have at least 2 criteria ranges. So next I'm looking for homes that sold for more than 150. So I would select the range for the sale price, and then I would put in the condition or the criteria of greater than 150, and that will return the value. This will be another sum ifs because you are looking at sold within 60 days, so this would be a less than or equal to, and for less than 3%. When you see something that says find the number of, you're going to be counting. So this would be count if the properties listed for 150,000 or more. Number of, again, count if they sold for 150 or more. Here you have, again, number, so this will be count. However, this will be count ifs because you're looking for properties listed over 60 days, and you're looking for those that had a list price reduced by more than 5%. This one, it's easy to overthink. It really just wants the average of the list price, so you will just be doing the average. So I entered in equal average, and then I selected the range. Select the range and then press enter, and there you go. For this one, you have average days on market for properties listed over 200,000. So you would have find the average if listed over 200,000. This one would be average days on market for properties listed less than 200,000 and reduced. So this would be find the average ifs. So you're going to use more than one if. So you need both listed at less than 200,000 and reduced by less than 5% or less. And then finally, this just wants the average difference between the list price and the sales price, and that is just going to be finding the average for this particular column. I hope this helps.